I just want to start out. I want to thank all you guys, especially media. You guys are here all the time. My first year, I didn't know what to expect. Everyone was great this year for all the support, the coverage of our team, especially you being here. I appreciate you and our relationship that we started, and everyone that covered the team this year. I just want to say thank you from my behalf.
Leo, your first year coaching here in the American Hockey League, what is the biggest, or what are some of the biggest lessons you learned?
I would say for me the biggest thing is just how hard the league is. Just how competitive, especially you hear about our division, just how, there's different styles and just top to bottom. Even I know Utica did make the playoffs, but towards the end of the year they finished 11 games over 500, and I think it hardens you. I think it's really good for our players, but just how good the American Hockey League is. And you hear people say, it's second best league in the world, and then when you have a chance to live it and you play a 72 game schedule with the travel, I could see why it's a lot of teams like to send their prospects to the American League, and kind of hardens you and it seasons you, and you go through a lot of ups and downs. But just how good the hockey league is, and how the margin for error between, just the margin for error is really small. There's not much of a, once you get to this part of the season where we're at, there's a clear cut of how good the teams are, and then it's every team, once you get to that point, has a chance. But even during the regular season, from the top to the bottom, it's not a lot, and just it's a really good league. Always dreamed about coaching in this league, and fortunate for the opportunity. And it's the best year I've ever had, just with our group, staff. I wish we were practicing in Charlotte right now, but it's how it goes sometimes. But it just really blessed and fortunate to be here.
A year ago, you would have been finishing up with the Green Bay Gamblers, short of a Clark Cup. Is Michael Leone 1 year later, after a run in the Calder Cup playoffs, any different? Any newfound perspective?
Yeah, I think I'm a better coach than I was a year ago. I just think for me it's more like belief system and what you believe in and how you coach, is ultimately gave me a lot of, even going back to preseason, playing those games in the NHL and the different, I wouldn't say systems, but the things that I believe in as a coach. And every coach is different. Just kind of strengthen the belief of myself. And there's always thought, just like a player, when you get to this level, can you do it? Can you be there? And you got to have a blind faith. And I give Jason, he gave me an opportunity. I was a young coach. I had 2 years of head coaching experience. A lot of people would probably look at the resume and be like, that's not, but he gave me an opportunity. You believe in people, and it made me a better coach. You got to manage guys differently up here, when to pick your spots, to get on the group. Just more managing, how to manage people, your staff. It made me better for sure as a coach, and I know I'll be better next year.
From me, are there any moments, and I think we as fans and as media often look to the on-ice moments, but even if it was off-ice, just things that are going to stay with you from this first season?
Yeah, there's a lot. I just think like it started like we had a really unique experience to play. Like we were basically the Buffalo Sabres for a couple weeks, and like just to be around our guys to go through that experience. Everybody hopes they ultimately get to the NHL as a player, as a coach, but actually to live it, and it was so awesome. Like, and I thought it brought our group closer together. And you can kind of see like I know it was only preseason, but you can kind of see what the group that we had, and just there was a lot of sweeping Syracuse, just the guys like winning game 2 here against Laval, winning game 4. Like there was so many points throughout the course of the season that were just really incredible. Like there's only one team that gets to stand there at the end, but it was just an incredible group, incredible staff. Like I wouldn't, like just like Crave and Michael and his staff, what they do behind the scenes. Like we were connected, everybody was, like from Brendan and Carl, what they mean to the team. Like I know those guys aren't coaches, but like they were. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that made it really special, and that's what I'll always remember about this group. But I would say the biggest thing is like getting on that plane. We had they just kept bringing out food on the private plane, and I was like, man, I can get used to this. And then you're busing to Syracuse on game day or through the night to Hershey. Like, but it was such a awesome experience to go through that. Like I even think back to the game, like we literally played Columbus's lineup, like literally their team. It was like the last preseason game, and it was like 2-2 with, and I know it's preseason, but it's 2-2 with 10 minutes to go in the game, and like we didn't win the game, but it was just like you look at their lineup and you're like Werenski and all these guys that are NHL like superstars. And the guy, it was just so cool, and I think I'll always remember that. Like you dream about that, whether you're a coach and player, to ultimately get there, and we got to live it. It was incredible.
What ultimately made the difference against Laval?
They're really deep. Like, and I thought once you get to a game 5, game 7, like it's a real simple game that you have to play. And it's all about gaining zones, putting pucks behind, physical. There's a lot of directness in their game. It's simple. And I thought if you look at, they played their best game of the series in that game 5. Like they played their best game. That was their best version of ourselves. And I didn't think like it was, they scored 2 power play goals. Dev probably wants the third one back. Everything that we did well in the series, we just didn't have it in that game. And credit to them. That was their best version of them. Like you look at even they're heavy. They're heavy. It's hard to get to the net front, and when over a course of a series, it's that I think that was probably the difference. Like I think if we, you steal game 1 and you got 4 goals. Like anytime you score 4 goals in the playoff, you should win. And we scored enough this series, and this is not by any means on Dev. It's just. There's a lot of things that have to go right to beat a team like that. You need all aspects of your game. And for one day in the middle of March, they were just they were a better team. They played really good. I would say what their coaching staff said after our second game, we played a perfect game. They played a perfect game, game 5. And I thought they got the crowd into it. I think that was the difference. They're really deep. Like you look at their fourth line, they had Jack Eye, Beck, and Davidson, 44-point guy. Beck was a 40-point guy, and then you have Jack Eye who had 23 goals, and then getting Kapanen down from the NHL, playing second line center, and then you move Kandata to your third line center, who I thought did a great job minimizing our top guys. Like told him in the handshake line, he let his, he was a big driver in that series. And I thought we played well in the series, like to push that team of, they finished 103 points. It's a really good hockey team, and just they executed at a really high level, and it was just a game in that arena. You can't chase the game, and I thought every time we tried to push, they were right there to match it, and they were really good.
I mean, they need to be focused on just playing hockey instead of,
Yeah.
parts of the series, they just thought, it seemed anyway, watching that they thought they could intimidate, they thought they could.
Yeah.
And whether it's physicality or, like, you thumped them in game 4, so what happens at that point?
I thought it wasn't a physicality issue. I thought we did a good job of that throughout the course of the series, especially when you look at.
But maybe the size.
Yeah. I think over a course of a series, you look at the heaviness of their group, and they put Hayes in the lineup, Trudeau, veterans that know how to play and have been there. And that's taken away nothing from our group, but it was just in a game like that where the game is played, I don't want to say safe, but it's all about your game management and gaining lines, gaining zones. I thought that was the worst game we were on face-offs, so they had a lot of face-offs in ozone time. It was the most ozone time we've given up. I think if you look at games 2, 3, and 4, we almost doubled them in ozone time. And they executed at a really high level. They did a really good job getting to the paint, making it hard on us, making us go 200 feet. They did a really good job being above us, and we just couldn't get to our game. And they you have each team, there's areas of our game that make us really good that we got to get to, and I thought they got to their game quicker, and they were on it. And it was, I think you could say too, that was the best they played all season. They were really good.
Yeah.
Like even the game 3 where we lost, like we had double the chances, double the ozone time. They were opportunistic, Jack Eye's goal, but like the 5th game, that was the best game that they played.
Obviously, product development's a big part of what this is about.
Yeah.
And I would think just what Hellenius showed in the playoffs is pretty
great.
impressive for 18 and guys trying to physically.
Just had his exit meeting. He was incredible. Like I thought he rose to the occasion. The bigger the moment, the better he played. I thought he played with a level of physicality, because ultimately when you get to this time of the year, you find out who you are as a player. And you work so hard to get to that end of the year, and you have to play a certain way to be successful, and that's what wins. And I thought Helly played a lot of winning hockey for us. And, I just wanted to mention too, like Roos. Roos was, I could say it now that, I'm sure Jason will touch on it, he was playing with basically a torn up knee. Like his meniscus was shot. Basically played on one leg. Yabo's shoulder came out. Cozy had a concussion the last game. But just what Roos was playing through, a lot of people don't know. I mean, it was really significant. So hats off to him, because that's like he was literally playing on one league, wasn't practicing, just showed up for the game. So I just wanted to make sure I brought that up to the.
Which is impressive, because he knew he wasn't going to be here next year.
Yeah, I can't say enough about him. Like, to persevere, he wanted to be out there. There was moments before the game we didn't know, and he gutted it out. That's why we dressed an extra forward. But I didn't know if Jason and I didn't talk about that, but I just wanted to say it because I know a lot of people were probably wondering what he went through.
It's evident if you watch the NHL playoffs and the AHL playoffs. I mean, physicality and size are a big thing. I mean, how does this organization get to that point?
Yeah, I think it's a copycat league, you know, and I think if you look at what we always talk about, I think like you just look at what's successful, and I know sometimes it's very evident. I think there's trends that happen in the NHL, and you watch even going back to the teams that won the Stanley Cup or the Hershey's, the teams that are there. Like I think in our league it's a little different. I think the vets are really important. Older teams, like you look at Texas, their roster, they got 5 guys that have played 28 years old, 29 years old, just older player season. You know, I was talking to Pacer about this in the bus ride home, his Grand Rapids team, just guys that have played a lot of hockey, you know. And I think, but the NHL level, you look at the teams that win or are successful, like it's there a hardness to their game. Like you watch Florida play, it's a really simple game plan. They rim the puck, they get to their forecheck. They have double the amount of goals than anybody else in the NHL off of a forecheck within 5 seconds. It's in the back of the net when defenses are not set. And they have 16 goals in the playoffs like that. There's no one else even close. Like there's a clear cut identity that you have to play with. And sometimes it could be, I don't want to use the word boring, but a really simple style of game that they play. Like their D are big, strong kill plays in the corner. They box out. They get to the net front. They play like, you know, you look at the lineups like even in our series, you look at Jack-Eye, like the impact that he has on the game. He drags guys into the fight where they almost play tougher than they really are, because they also have like the Farrells or the undersized guys too, Barber-Lay, but they play a little tougher when you got a guy out there. And you look at, you know, Florida as an example of guys that just, everybody plays tougher, everybody's finishing checks, everybody's bought into, because when you win, you start to believe, like, and I know you listen to Paul Maurice's press conferences, the first year they went to the finals, there were some guys fighting the style of play, but that's what wins. Like you listen to everybody's press conference, managing the game. It's about our puck decisions that we make, playing direct, simple. Like you watch the playoffs, how many times did he get the puck and rim it out of the zone? You're not making 5 pass. Everybody's like, get it out. Like Florida flips the puck more than any other team in the NHL. It's not sexy. But what they do is it's a style of play that they play. They create foot races, then they're just pressuring the puck everywhere on the ice. So it's almost like playing Charlotte. You feel like there's 8 guys on the ice because they're just relentless on the puck and everyone's bought into it. So to answer your question, I thought there were some things that we implemented this year where I thought we got good at those things. Were we ever going to be the most physical team? But I thought we did a really good pressuring the puck and using our team speed to make it look like we were more, I guess, physically engaged than, you know, we don't have a guy that's going to go out there and have 25 fights, but you could play a game on your forecheck, and I thought we did a really good job in the Laval series of, you know, Cozy's goal in the game 4 is a great example. Like backs turn, we just send guys, we turn over the puck, we shoot it at the net when the defense is not set. So it's more of there's some things that we introduced this year that I think gave us a lot more possession. Like we were the number 1 team in the ozone this year statistically in ozone possession time. Like we had the puck more, so we gave up less goals, and it's also having a really good goalie. But it allows you to play with the puck more and lean on teams. And I think you look at even like Carolina. I know they're down in the series, but they just shot mentality, come at you in waves, and it's a hard game to play. And you notice in the playoffs, there's not a lot of line rushes 2-on-1. There's breakdowns, but like everybody's tracking back hard. Everybody's stopping in the house. A lot of it comes off a breakout exiting the zone. The line rush game in the playoffs is not really there. It's a heaviness and a hardness that you have to play with, and the really good teams do that. And that's taken away. I thought we did a lot of those things this year. Like we did a great job getting to the net. Like I think we're top 5 in shots screened by the goalie. Like, so there's some things we implemented that I think are part of, you want to build a game that's sustainable to when you get to the playoffs. And I think if you watch the NHL and AHL, there's clear cut. Now, the only team different would probably be Edmonton, but they also have 2 of the best players, like, ever. You know what I mean? But they also have guys that, like Zach Hyman has 114 hits in 11 games. Like, yeah,
Edmonton of the 80s.
yeah, right. But like there's like guys in our lineup that bring like a hardness, and I think they you know, the Ekholm on the D, like just like you have those world-class players, but there's also like, it's clear evident what wins and what's sustainable in the long run. Like Brown, you know, Brown on Edmonton's having like you know what I mean? That guy's going to get paid. But just, so that's what I think as our staff, I think I'm proud of the way, like we try to prepare the guys to play in a game like that. And I thought we did a good job. We just got beat by the team that,
I have one more.
yeah.
What made the biggest strides of prospects?
You know what?
No,
like you can make the case like you look at Helly's playoffs, you look at the stretch that Oslin had, basically carrying the team when we had a thin lineup, and he had 35 points, and I don't know how many games that he played, starting out with 1 and 11. Wally made huge strides, you know, playing him at center. And I think sometimes, you know, everybody tends to talk about the forwards, but I think like even Novikov, like he had plus 30, he was better with his feet, did a really good job. We finished the season, I think 2nd or 3rd in the penalty kill. Comey, the way he played down the stretch, like his level of physicality, and like he's got some fight in him, and like there's a lot of guys like that just really elevated and got a lot better, and I just really proud of the guys of just especially, you know, Helly, like there was probably a little cheat in his game as a young kid. You're worried about getting points, and then moving him to the wing, I kind of freed him up a bit, and I thought we got the best version of him down the stretch, and I thought he did a great job.
Mike Harrington, you're up.
Mike, first off, I appreciate your opening statement. I'm sure I can speak for everybody and say we all do. I got 2 quick questions for you. The first is, you talked about the crazy camp schedule, and in general, we talk about prospects getting comfortable in the A. How long did it take you to get comfortable, and did that almost have to restart in the playoffs for you?
Yeah, like that's a really good question. I really didn't think about that, but just I leaned on like Pacer and Vinny a lot about like the scheduling and just practices and things I didn't. You know what you don't know, Mike, you know what I mean? And there was so many things I had to get used to of, and then like playing the same teams over and over again. It's the same, like we, you know, play Utica and Syracuse, and you know what you're going to get, and it becomes monotonous sometimes, but it's just the grind. Like it really is it's a hard league. Like that's what I think the biggest thing for me is just how hard the league is, and how you got to show up every night. You know, the meaning of a pro too, for me, is like, you know, people talk about it, but then once you're in pro hockey, and I think of why we've had success, you know, I can't speak for years past, but it's been really good. The culture, Seth did an unbelievable job. I kind of walked into a great situation. Then you have your own things of stylistically and things that you want to do differently and sayings and whatnot, but just the guys, like how many pros that we had, and just showed up to the rink every day, and like the dog days of January where it's difficult and we don't get sunlight till, you know, it's 3 o'clock and you go outside and it's dark in Rochester, but like just what it means to be a pro, I think it really opened my eyes of like what separates the guys. Like to be a really good team, you need guys that are in the fight, that are just show up at the rink every day. And then, started to get more comfortable the second half of the year of like, I think if you're a really competitive person and you believe in yourself, there's always going to be some, I wouldn't say self-doubt, but like, hey, can I do this? You know what I mean? I would have got the job at 30, whatever, how old I was. You're a young coach, not that much experience, and almost like believing in yourself. There's a little bit of that too, and incredible staff, great coaches. The whole year was, I'll never forget this year for sure.
And the other question I had is I've asked many times over the years, different coaches, GMs, whatever, and sometimes the answer is different each year. How did communication work this year in terms of when they wanted a player or when they wanted an opinion on a player and they needed to hear what you had to say? Did they go through Jason? Did Kevin or Lindy call you direct a lot? Or how did that all work this year?
Yeah, there was, I actually, I tried to go, since I didn't have my family here, Mike, I tried to go as many games as I could. So you saw me there at a lot of Buffalo games. So there was also a lot of communication. Like I probably went to like 10 to 12 games throughout the course of the season. So I would go down after, and then also talk about our players even before a call up, so they would have a better understanding. Then all my communication through Jason about how guys are doing, where guys are at, part of, I can't speak on exactly, Noah probably could have been called up before. I'll just give you one example, but it was really important for him to keep going and keep getting ice time, and it worked out in a time where Buffalo was eventually out of the playoff hunt to give him a time to go up. But there was always communication about with Jason about guys when guys were calling up. But I also would talk to the guys a lot just because I was up there quite a bit, and let them know how guys are doing, or like a guy that Dunner was called up, or when Cozy first got called up, a lot of communication with Jason about like I believe he could do it, and it ended up working out for him. He had a fantastic season up there. So yeah, that's how it was, and I think it helped me too, like just going there and being around Lindy, and I have a relationship with Steph, and then being around the staff, I think it was really important for me to try to get there as much as I can. So they were getting, I'd give them a lot of information before any guy was called up, and they would, obviously their play would determine whether they were called up, but just give them information on how guys were doing, how our younger players were doing, and things like that.
Thanks very much, Mike. Appreciate it.
Matthew, do you have anything for Michael Leone?
I'm curious what you noticed about some of your defensemen in the playoffs. You mentioned the game gets harder, it gets heavier. Like some of those younger guys on the blue line, what did you notice? As you guys got into these tougher series?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like I think everybody knows we had probably a smaller D-core for sure, and I think at times where you're playing a big, heavy, physical team, the times we were really good against Syracuse and Laval, your decisions with the puck on breakouts have to be first touch on everything. You have to, you can't hang on to the puck too long, because then you got a guy coming at you trying to put you through the glass. So I think the things that we tried to work on in that area was to close quick in the D zone, almost double up. Second quick, be really good with their sticks, be really good on the gap, so you don't have to go back, try to create turnovers in the neutral zone. But I think that was, the biggest thing. Like, it's an adjustment for not just the smaller D, but all the D. Like, just in the playoffs, like everything's got to be on the first touch. And we talked about that throughout the course of the season, what I was mentioning before, is you want to build a game that's sustainable in the playoffs. And I thought if you look at Game 5, that was probably the slowest we were in all playoffs with our puck decisions. And then anytime there's net front battles. You have to, if you're an undersized D, we worked on a lot of get into your guys early, get at the box outs early. But our guys did a really good job all year. I thought all of them got a lot better. But yeah, those are just a couple examples of probably areas if you are undersized, the skill set that you're going to have to play those big, heavy games.
You mentioned Wahlberg briefly, but I'm curious as, the playoffs went on, what you kind of saw from him. Young guy like that, I imagine it's a bit of an eye-opener to see the pace of play and kind of the
Yeah.
heaviness of North America.
Yeah, I think it's, especially for him, Noah, Helly, all these guys coming over to play in a playoff environment where it's a different game. And I thought Helly took, he was one of the last guys we met with. I thought he took huge strides in his game. He has a lot of tools that are transferable to the NHL when you look at the size, the skating ability, his ability to protect pucks, and I think it's probably eye-opening when you get to that level of like what it's going to take to ultimately become an NHL player, and especially to play off in a playoff environment. I think Wally self-admitted he could have been better, and I don't disagree. I didn't think he was bad. I just think it was probably eye-opening, like his skill traits, his identity piece that he's going to have to be good at are things that you want in a playoff series: the physicality, the relentless on the pucks, being a really good forechecker, getting to the net front. We talked about him, if you look at him and his game and his development, where he could be better is scoring 5 to 7 goals around the net, tip-ins, goal line, similar to what, Murr did for us this year. And I think that's an area of his game for improvement, but I thought Wally, especially when we moved him to the middle, during that stretch we were really thin and everybody was called up, I thought he did an incredible job, and his details away from the puck are really good. He's really good in his own zone. His natural instincts are to be the low man in the zone. But I think it was good for all of our young players to realize, like, when you get to when you're playing in May, late May, like it's a heavier, hard, and I think it was probably eye-opening for some of them. And I think it's only good for them to go through that to work on the things that they need to work on.